kind of like
Yes.
helps you gain more weight. So over the course of 7 years, I think I gained more than 16, 17 kilos compared to the point when I got married. So I guess, like, health-wise, I wanted to, shed some pounds perhaps, especially you're doing broadcasting and you have to move from one place to another. And so the whole thing was perhaps maybe I could just do it for health purposes and also for cosmetic purposes at the same time. And I did get some medical help professionally. I went to one of the doctors and I asked, how can I do this a little fast? She did not recommend the crash diet and everything. So weight is something that I guess we all have different perceptions about. And I think I thought to myself, maybe I should give it a try losing weight. And I did succeed in losing 16 kilos altogether over a course of 2 months, I think.
In 2 months, 16 kilograms? Wow.
Went from 93 kilos to 77 kilos. Wow. Now I'm close to 80, like 3 more than I used to be at my lowest. But it's still an ongoing issue because the appetite issue.
Yeah.
Oh, I love eating.
What's your favorite food?
Well, you know what? A lot of people ask me what my favorite food is. I eat practically anything. I can eat something, whatever people can put in their mouth, I think. And I can probably go to a remote island and still survive, perhaps eating insects and stuff like that. I can eat, I can eat perhaps anything. But if you really have to ask me, I prefer Korean food than Western food. I think Korean food is more, they have, the roots that they have? I love namu.
Yeah.
And I think it's very healthy that we have so many mountainous roots that we can eat. Like, there's like a dozen of them that you can get at any typical dinner table.
Well, when you weren't being as healthy and watching what you're eating, what were the favorite things that you would eat?
Oh, fast food.
Oh, really?
All the time.
Because you're on the go,
yes.
Right? I see. I have another question for you. I mean, this industry, of course, it's that we have to also uphold the image as a teacher, as kind of an entertainer, as we discussed. And so you're wrapped up in 2 of these, and you have to deal with family, a friend, maybe an older brother to someone, or 선배 or 후배, and things like all kinds of things, We are human, and, you and I, we're both human. If you can reflect, what's probably the most hardest part of your life after coming into this kind of arena of work?
You know what? You may think that I'm lying, but I don't really... In my line of work, there are stressful factors, you have to admit. I guess long hours. We do morning radio and then we go into TV shoots almost every day. And once you get off at 6 or 7, you have to go back home and you have to start writing scripts, the books that you kind of like write and publish. They require a lot of work and you work with people who help you, your assistants and everything. But then again, you have to invest all your time in it and then the ability to create content in the business of English education gives you a very special status. If you can create content of your own, and if it's original, and if you can make it sell, and if you can make it as effective as any other English learning method out there, you're quite successful. I mean, you are on your way to creating your own, perhaps, way of learning the language. And that's by creating content, whether it's in the form of a book, or whether it's in the form of an application, whether it's in the form of an online lecture, whether it's a form of a radio show or TV show. So that part, longer hours, I think I work on average of 15 to 16 hours a day.
Wow.
I get 5 to 6 hours of sleep on average, but sometimes I only go by get by with 2 or 3 hours a day. So that aspect of perhaps not getting too much sleep and longer hours is hectic in itself. But, I enjoy every minute of it, and it's not like tiring to a point where I want to give up. The stress normally comes from the fact that I can't do more in my given time as opposed to I have to do this until a certain deadline. Now, the flip side of that is that you're dealing with people here, right? Because we're not working with machines.
Yes.
Now, media or broadcasting is all about interacting with your listeners or viewership. And you have that public persona you have to keep, perhaps. If you're not a pretentious person and you can really be yourself on air, that's fine. I think that's the best person. But we all have to not cover up, but, be polite. Be polite. on air.
Yes.
Not be too straightforward. Euphemize, things like that. So I can be more straightforward or down to earth when I'm off camera, off air. Sometimes the hard things about being a broadcaster or being in the spotlight or limelight while being a teacher is the fact that you're being scrutinized. And the messages that you get on the boards are not the most polite or the cordial messages. And we go through it a lot on a regular basis. Most of the shows, most of the feedback that we get are very positive, believe me. Because
very polite.
Very polite, very civil, very encouraging. And you really, really respect the listeners or the viewers for respecting their appreciation for the show and everything. I think it's 98% of the time that you get those messages. But, you know, you have that 2% of the time where these people just come out there and write postings that you do care about because they're talking about my line of work and what I do on a show.
And you're human after all.
And we are human. We do make mistakes. And we're just trying to do a good job all the time. But once they start nitpicking on you, it kind of gets out of hand a little bit. And when they talk about perhaps things that are based upon groundless information, something that is not true.
Or that has nothing to do with what you're trying to teach.
Exactly. And when they keep going at it, when they post like a message on a board like every day or every other day, like the same message every other day, saying that I want you off air. I don't like what you're doing on the program. I think you should be replaced by someone else. Blah, blah, blah. You know, first of all, number one, you have to deal with those kind of messages because it's still attention coming to your side. And frankly enough, I do appreciate some of the comments that they make, even if it does tell you to quit what you're doing. Because in their view, they don't think it's what you are doing the best. And there are other people who can do it better than you can. And I think that kind of like keeps you on edge sometimes because, you know, it's going on. And especially these people who kind of like write these messages are very persistent. They write them every other day.
Wow.
And once that happens, you kind of like cannot distance yourself from it 100%. You always know there's that 2% factor that you have to deal with. Even if you have the 98% fan base that really supports you and does that. So I guess with people in the entertainment business, they probably have to deal with a lot more than 2%, I think.
So much more. You know what? There's a positive in this. When you get to that point, I know this is that point of, you know, people are starting to recognize you. And when you get recognized, there's going to be people who love you and cannot, you know, dislike you. So this is actually a positive point that you are getting recognized.